I'm Esther and I used to believe in fairy tales. The kind where you meet a charming guy, settle down and build a family that feels like home. Growing up in a quiet Ohio town, I clung to that dream like a lifeline. My mom raised me alone, pouring love into every sketch I drew, every story I told through my pencils. When she passed away during my sophomore year of college, the world felt emptier, like someone had erased half the colors from my palette. I was an only child, no dad in the picture, no cousins or aunts to lean on. So when I met Zachary, a 33-year-old salesman with a warm smile and promises of stability, I thought I'd found my anchor. Zachary swept me off my feet. He'd talk about his mom with this glow in his eyes, like she was the heart of his world. I envied that someone who cared so deeply about family. He was 4 years older, steady in a way I craved, and when he proposed, after a year of dating, I said yes without hesitation. I'd always wanted to be an illustrator, but I'd put that dream on hold, working odd jobs to pay the bills. Zachary said I wouldn't need to worry about that anymore. You'll be part of my family now, he told me, his voice soft as we sat on a park bench one evening, watching the sunset over the Scioto River. I believed him. Wedding was small but perfect in a little chapel just outside Columbus. My mother-in-law greeted me with a hug that felt like it could stitch my broken pieces back together. She was all warmth, complimenting my dress, saying how happy she was to have a daughter. Zachary's dad had passed away years before, and he said he wanted to stay close to his mom to look after her. It made sense to me. Family takes care of family. So when he asked me to move into his mom's house, a 2-story brick home in a suburban neighborhood, I didn't think twice. I'd sold my mom's old place after her death, and my rented apartment was month to month. This was my chance to belong somewhere again. But the fairy tale cracked the moment we crossed the threshold. The first morning after we settled in, I was barely out of bed when my mother-in-law's voice cut through the house. Esther, the kitchen floor is filthy. Scrub it before breakfast. Her tone wasn't warm anymore. It was sharp, like she was barking orders at a hired maid. I blinked, thinking I'd misheard, but Zachary just sipped his coffee, not even glancing up from his phone. And make it quick, he added, his voice flat. I stood there, still in my pajamas, wondering where the man I'd married had gone. It got worse. My mother-in-law would snap at me to fetch her tea, clean the bathroom, or iron Zachary's shirts, her eyes narrowing if I hesitated. You're part of this house now, Esther. Pull your weight. Zachary backed her up every time, his charm replaced by a cold edge. Don't make mom upset, he'd say, like I was the problem. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, my chest tight with regret. Had I been so desperate for a family that I'd missed the warning signs? I'd given up my apartment, quit my part-time gig at a coffee shop, and now I was stuck. No savings, no one to call. The life I'd imagined was slipping through my fingers, and I didn't know how to claw it back. A few days after moving in, I got the shock of my life. I was stumbling into the kitchen one morning, still groggy, when I saw a guy I didn't know rummaging through the fridge. He was tall with messy dark hair and glasses, wearing a faded hoodie. My heart stopped. Had I walked in on a burglar? Froze, gripping my coffee mug like a weapon, until he turned and saw me. Oh, hey, he said, casual as anything. I'm Noah, Zachary's brother. I stared, my brain scrambling. Brother. Zachary had never mentioned a brother. Not once did. I marched to my mother-in-law later that day, trying to keep my voice steady. Why didn't anyone tell me about Noah? She was sorting laundry, barely looking up. Noah, he's just a drifter holed up in his room like some lazy ghost. Don't waste your time on him. Her words hit like a slap. Who calls their own son a ghost? She went on saying Noah only left the house to grab groceries, that he was useless compared to Zachary, her real son. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Growing up without siblings, I'd always imagined families as tight-knit, not tearing each other apart like this. That evening, I cornered Zachary when he got home from work. Why didn't you tell me? You had a brother living here? I asked. He just shrugged, loosening his tie. Noah's nobody. Pretend he's not here. He won't bother you. His voice was so dismissive, like he was talking about a stray cat, not his own flesh and blood. I felt a pang of disappointment. Zachary wasn't the family man I'd thought. He was a mama's boy who didn't care about anyone else. I started noticing Noah more after that. He'd slip in and out of his room, quiet as a shadow, but when our paths crossed, he'd offer a small nod or a polite morning. One day as I was hauling a vacuum upstairs, we nearly collided. You married Zachary, huh? Noah said, his voice low. I nodded, unsure where this was going. Look, I don't mean to overstep, but you should get out of here. Divorce him. His words hit me like a punch. Divorce? I'd been married less than a month. That's none of your business. I snapped, my pride flaring. I can handle it. Noah's eyes softened like he regretted saying it. I'm sorry. I've seen things. He ducked into his room before I could respond. I was furious, but his warning stuck with me. Noah didn't seem like the useless hermit my mother-in-law described. He was polite, even kind in a way Zachary and his mom never were. But why would he tell me to leave? That night, as I scrubbed dishes while Zachary and his mom laughed over some TV show, I felt a knot in my stomach. Noah's words echoed in my head, and I started to wonder if I'd married into something darker than I'd realized. Living in that house felt like walking on eggshells, and they kept cracking louder every day. My mother-in-law's demands never stopped. Polish the silverware, mop the floors, fold Zachary's laundry just so. If I paused to catch my breath, she'd glare and say, Esther's, you're not here to sit around. Earn your keep. Zachary was no better. He'd come home from his sales job, toss his jacket on the couch, and bark orders like I was his personal maid. Esther, where's my coffee? You. No, I needed black. I'd bite my tongue, hoping for a scrap of the warmth he'd shown when we were dating, but it was gone. One morning I tried inviting Noah to breakfast, thinking maybe I could bridge the gap in this fractured family. Good morning, Noah, I said as he grabbed a water bottle from the fridge. Want to eat with us? My mother-in-law's head snapped up. Don't waste food on him, she hissed. Just get the table set. Noah gave me a tight smile, muttered, It's fine, and disappeared upstairs. I felt like I'd been slapped for trying to be kind. Zachary didn't even look up from his phone. Things hit a breaking point one evening. I'd spent all day cleaning, cooking and running errands. But when Zachary came home, reeking of whiskey, he lost it over dinner. What is this? Chili again? He shouted. I had chili for lunch. You should have checked with me. I stood there stunned. How was I supposed to know? It's not my fault, I said, my voice shaking. He leaned in, his face twisted. You're my wife, Esther. Your job is to keep this house running. If you can't do that, you're useless. Just trash. My mother-in-law smirked from the couch, nodding like she'd want to bet. I fled upstairs, my eyes burning. In the hallway, Noah appeared, holding out a handkerchief. I hurt them, he said softly. You don't deserve this. You should leave. I took the handkerchief my hands, trembling. I can't, I whispered. I have no family, no job, nowhere to go. Noah's expression hardened. You're not alone in this. I've been where you are, he told me. Zachary had been engaged before to a woman who fled after he and his mom treated her the same way, mocking her, using her, breaking her down. They're not who you think, Noah said. They play nice until you're trapped. I felt like the ground was crumbling beneath me. I trusted Zachary, believed in his promises, but it was all a lie. I had no savings, no way to start over. All I could do was cry, clutching Noah's handkerchief like it was the only solid thing left. Let's talk somewhere else, Noah said, slipping me a note with his number. Meet me at the coffee shop on Main Street tomorrow. We'll figure this out. For the first time I felt a flicker of hope, but it was buried under fear. What had I gotten myself into? The next day, I told my mother-in-law I was heading to the grocery store, making sure every chore was done to avoid her wrath. My heart pounded as I drove to the coffee shop on Main Street, where Noah was waiting at a corner table. I slid into the booth, my hands still shaking from the night before. I don't know what to do, I admitted. My mom's gone. I gave up my apartment, my job, everything. I'm stuck. Noah leaned forward, his voice steady. You're not stuck, Esther. I can help. I must have looked skeptical because he smiled faintly. You're an artist, right? You mentioned you went to art school. I nodded, surprised he'd remembered. I've got a friend, a graphic novelist, looking for a remote assistant to help with illustrations. You could do it from anywhere. My jaw dropped. I don't even have a computer, I said. Noah waved it off. I've got an extra laptop you can use. I'm not just some drifter you know. That's when he told me the truth. He was a software developer running his own small company remotely. The lazy hermit act was just what Zachary and his mom assumed because Noah kept himself. I was floored. Why didn't you tell them? I asked. Noah's face darkened. They wouldn't care. They never have. He didn't elaborate, but I could feel the weight of years behind his words. Instead, he focused on me setting up a call with his friend, the graphic novelist. By some miracle, I nailed the remote interview a few days later when my mother-in-law was out at her book club. The novelist liked my portfolio and hired me on the spot, promising to send the contract through Noah to keep it discreet. Next, Noah introduced me to Maya Patel, a real estate agent he knew from college. Maya found me a small apartment in a nearby town, affordable enough for my new job salary. You're tougher than you think, Maya told me as we signed the lease. I wasn't so sure, but I clung to her words. Everything was falling into place until Zachary pushed me over the edge point. One night I was dozing in our bedroom when Zachary stormed in, slurring from a night out. Where's dinner? He demanded. It's midnight, I said, exhausted. You said you were eating out. His face twisted. Shut up, Esther. I'm the king of this house and you can't even cook. You're a worthless wife. I snapped. I've been working myself to death for you and your mom. How dare you call me worthless? He laughed cold and cruel as his mother appeared in the doorway. You're trash, Esther, Zachary said, pulling divorce papers from a drawer. Sign these and get out. I'll find a real wife. His mother chimed in, smirking. Good riddance to the trash. And Noah too. Time to clean this house. I grabbed the papers, my hands steady despite the rage boiling inside me. You'll regret this, I said. signing them. Zachary just laughed. What's a jobless housewife going to do? He had no idea. I was already one step out the door. The day Noah and I moved out, I felt like I could breathe for the first time in months. Zachary and his mom stood in the living room, smirking, as we packed our things. Good luck, homeless lady, Zachary sneered. And Noah, don't come crawling back. My mother-in-law added, we're tearing down your room for a bigger den. This house will finally be ours. I wanted to scream, but Noah just gave me a nod like he knew something they didn't. We loaded a moving van and left without looking back. What Zachary and his mom didn't know is that Noah had been the one keeping them afloat. Years ago, he'd promised his dad before he passed to look after his mom and brother no matter how they treated him. Noah had been wiring money to his mom's account every month, letting her think it was her late husband's inheritance. When they kicked him out, he stopped the payments. Cold turkey. I almost felt bad for them. Almost. The real justice came a few days later. Noah had recorded Zachary and his mom's tirade that night. Every cruel word, every trash thrown at us. He sent it to his friend James Reed, a lawyer who'd seen too many people like Zachary get away with bullying. James used the recording to build my case, proving harassment and emotional abuse. When the divorce went through, I walked away with enough alimony to start over comfortably. Zachary's jaw hit the floor when he got the bill. He'd thought I was helpless. A week later, my mother-in-law's number lit up my phone. I'd forgotten to block her, so I answered, bracing myself. Esther, where's Noah? She demanded, her voice shaky. I don't know, I lied, keeping my tone cool. Why do you care? She stammered. Then Zachary grabbed the phone. You know where he is, you liar. Tell us. I laughed. I've got a job, an apartment, and a life now. I'm not your mate anymore. Don't call me again. Blocked them both, my heart pounding with triumph. They were panicking because the bank had frozen their accounts. No more mysterious deposits. They'd built their whole lives around money they didn't earn, and now it was gone. Noah, meanwhile, bought a sleek apartment in downtown Columbus, living the life he'd earned through years of quiet hard work. I asked him once why he stayed so long despite their cruelty. Dad, he said simply, he loved them even if they didn't deserve it. I kept my promise until they made it impossible. His loyalty broke my heart and made me admire him even more. I settled into my new apartment, diving into my illustration job with a passion I hadn't felt in years. Noah and I stayed close, grabbing coffee, swapping stories about our fresh starts. One evening, as we sat on his balcony watching the city skyline, he turned to me, his eyes nervous but warm. Esther, I know it's soon, but would you ever consider marrying me? My heart skipped. I didn't say yes right away. I needed time to heal, but I knew I'd found someone who saw me not as trash but as a person worth fighting for. Tio, everyone who's followed this journey, thank you. You've walked with me through betrayal, heartbreak, and a fight for freedom. Went from feeling like nothing to finding my strength. And I hope this story sparks something in you. If it moved you, hit that subscribe button and join us. Every story here is about rising from the ashes, reclaiming your worth, and building a life that's yours. Keep chasing your own truth, and I'll see you in the next chapter.